I have always loved climbing. It was a bit of a problem as a small child since it meant nothing was truly out of reach for me. Want to keep me contained to one of those child prisons? Good luck. I'll climb my way out of that puppy without a second thought. Think that cookie jar is safe on top of the fridge? Not a chance. Playing hide and go seek? Better get used to checking the ceiling because that's where I'm gonna be. If there is something that could be climbed, you better believe that you will find me there climbing it. At least until the one fateful day that I fell. Everything changed after that. Nothing in my 5 whole years of life could have prepared me for having my entire world shattered by a simple slip and fall. I had always known that climbing was a risky endeavor, but after the fall, my carefree climbing days were over. Now, a hardened, grizzled veteran, I was more risk-averse than before. It was a beautiful summer day. The birds were chirping, the sun was shining, butterflies fluttered by the window, but it was all lost on me as I saddled on over to the breakfast bar. The bartender asked me what I'd be having. Lucky Charms? Fruit Loops? Nah, I'll take the hardest stuff you got. Cheerios, hold the milk. I looked across the bar and saw my younger brother, Tomato,
My name is really Tom Ado.
munching on his Cocoa Puffs, still full of life and hope. He wasn't a climber like I was, which was good. That meant he wouldn't be a faller either. I hoped that he would never see the world as it truly was, full of heights one could fall from, not a single guardrail in sight. My musings were interrupted when my father entered the room. Well, I'm all ready to go. Should we go look at some houses? It was true. The house we were living in at the time was old and decrepit. At one point, it just had a giant gaping hole in the floor where the basement stairway used to be. Very safe for a home with 2 young explorative children. Luckily, it was the 90s, so people could actually afford a home back then, and that is exactly what my parents planned to do. I ceased my attempts to drown my memories at the bottom of my dry, milk-free cereal bowl and hopped into the car with the rest of my family. The first 2 houses were unremarkable. How could they be? Just structures full of things to not climb on lest one falls. But the last one, that one I remember. It was a relatively small house, a quaint little home built in a yellowy brick. But it actually had stairs to the basement, a much desired improvement from our current abode, and the kitchen was carpeted. That meant a softer landing if one was to fall trying to climb up onto the counters. It was like a tiny little spark started inside of me. Maybe, just maybe, there was hope for me yet. Maybe I didn't have to give up on my dreams. It was a good house, and it was time for my parents to have a real discussion with the real estate agent. So my mom threw us into the backyard to entertain ourselves while they got into the nitty-gritty of it all. The backyard was big, plenty big enough for a little family of 4. It had a garden back behind a separate garage, and the area next to the house had a patio-type thing cemented with reddish-purplish concrete. But the thing that captivated my attention the most was the great big magnolia tree sitting center stage to it all. It was a magnificent tree, its sturdy trunk clad in a hardy gray bark, its branches thick and strong. And it even had a slightly inappropriate-looking nubbin sticking out of the trunk, a treener, if you will. It was the perfect climbing tree. All of a sudden, that tiny little spark lit up, setting my old, crotchety 5-year-old climbing spirit ablaze. Tomato and I ran for the tree, but he stopped. "What are you waiting for?" I asked. "Let's climb this birch." "I don't know, what if we get hurt?" He had a point. What if we got hurt? Should I risk it? But it had been so long since I had felt the draw to climb like this. Probably a whole couple of days, or more. And in my old 5-year-old wisdom, I knew one thing. A life full of fear of falling was not a life worth living. And so I started climbing. I used the treener as a foothold and began my ascent. Hand over hand, carefully selecting every hold, every step of the way. I climbed higher and higher, careful to only ever move one limb at a time. First my left hand, then my right foot, followed by my right hand, and then my left foot. Always careful that I had a secure hold in case I slipped. It was exhilarating. From all the way up here, everyone else looked like little ants. I was doing it. I was finally climbing again, and nothing could bring me down. Nothing but a slip, followed by a fall. I don't remember exactly how it happened, but I do remember the confusion. One second my hands were grasping onto firm gray bark, the next, just air. I felt the wind rush past me as my life flashed before my eyes. The memory of me eating dog food as a small infant before I could even speak, my first memory. The time I was saving worms from rain puddles when my mom told me I was going to have a brother. The time they asked me what they should name him, and I suggested Kleenex as a joke, then followed with my real answer, Tractor. And how they scoffed and scorned me, saying, "How about Tom, Tomato?" The dry cereal I ate that morning because I don't like how it gets soggy in milk. I don't know, I was only 5. I don't have a lot of memories to draw from. This was it. This was surely the end for me. I accepted my fate. I had a good run. Slip. I sat up and dusted myself off. I was okay. I was better than okay. I didn't feel any pain at all. Nothing. Not a bump, a scratch, or a bruise. It was like nothing ever happened. Did it even happen? I looked over at Tomato, who was staring wide-eyed in shock. "Are you okay?" he asked. "Yeah," I answered, still a little confused and bewildered. "Yeah, I am." The discussion with the real estate agent must have gone well because my parents bought the house. We lived there for several years, and I climbed that tree countless times. I never really grew out of that love for climbing. I still will climb any chance I get to this day. And though I still have a fear of falling, I don't let it keep me from what I love. I just ensure that I do it safely. So, what did we learn here? Absolutely nothing. How did I survive that fall? Was I protected by some sort of guardian angel? Did I somehow instinctively cast a spell Featherfall, negating the fall damage I would have taken? Am I immune to fall damage altogether? Did I actually die right then, but when you die you actually just pop into an alternate reality where you didn't die and are just fine, and out there's some version of the world without me in it? I need answers, hot dog it! So one lovely autumn day when Tomato and I were playing in the backyard some years later, I asked him, "Hey, you remember when before we bought the house and Mom and Dad were just looking at it and I decided to climb the tree and then I fell out of it but it didn't hurt at all?" "Oh yeah, I remember it like it was just a few minutes ago in this exact video." "Well, I'm gonna try it again." That sounds like a dumb idea. But how else are we gonna find out how that worked? What if it was magic? What if I'm magic? We'll never know until we try. I don't know. If it works, you will fall and be fine, exactly the same as you are now. But if it doesn't work, you could be badly injured. It just doesn't seem like the reward justifies the risk. But it will look cool. Very well, you may proceed. So I climbed the tree once again. I caught myself into the exact position I was in the first time. I looked down, so far down, probably an entire 4 feet. I thought about what Tomato had said about the risk not being worth the reward, but that was just something I made up that we said. We weren't actually that smart. It just fit into the script. So I took a deep breath, closed my eyes, and let go. Slip. Once again, I was fine. This one hurt just a little more than the last. Perhaps fate was telling me not to tempt it any further. And this time, I listened. Did any of you have something stupid that you did as a kid and absolutely did not learn from? In which ways have you repeatedly tempted fate and gotten away with it? What is your favorite cereal to forget your woes with? All these questions and more can be answered by you in the comments section. But one question still remains, dear viewer. Will you fulfill the prophecy and become the chosen one? The one that will like the video and subscribe, and maybe even hit the little bell dealio so YouTube will know to tell you when I post a new video? But if today is not the day you will answer the call, then you can always refuse until next time. Fare thee well. Water, the nectar of earth.